wondered how long it would take for anyone to notice that my nose ring is missing, but no one has noticed. It broke. Came out while I was sleeping, quite painful, and yeah, it broke in two. So I'm going to be taking spells in pairs, requests. What I need is a birth date, not the whole date, just like month and day, and what it is that you desire. And I take them in pairs, so I can do 2 at once. Okay, that chat is set up. So I don't know how everyone's Valentine's Day is going. I wonder if you guys are enjoying yourselves, if you got dates, if you've been on your date today, you took your lover out, I don't know. But for those who don't know, the root of Valentine's Day is actually based on pagan celebration. I think it's Lupercalia, Lupercalia, and yeah, I might be wrong, might be pronouncing that wrong or saying it wrong. It was like a day for orgies and blood sacrifices. Interestingly enough, I have a rabbit in the pot. Now, I did take the rabbit out of the freezer. I didn't sacrifice it as like a blood offering or anything. I did have to slaughter it myself, you know, skin it and gut it. We do farm rabbits here, as well as chickens and pigs. We got a couple cows and a couple horses too. It's been a long time since we slaughtered any cows, but you get the picture. It wasn't for any kind of ritualistic purpose. There were just too many rabbits, and I had to cull their numbers and put some in the freezer. But it fits in nicely. All we're missing now is the orgies. There aren't enough of us here to have an orgy. Maybe you're curious about what a servitor is. It's kind of like an artificial intelligence, if you think of it that way. It's less of an artificial intelligence, more like a program. Like you've got a computer program, an executable program, so you write up a code and you give it, you know, when the code is executed, then it does a certain function, performs a certain function. So that's basically what a servitor is. It's like an executable spell. You program it to do a certain thing, and the way that we program it is we first identify the desire, we visualize it, we capture that psychic residue, we identify a means to get from here to there to that desire, we capture that psychic residue, we look at the things that might get in the way, capture that psychic residue, think up solutions to those blockages, we look at who we have to become, what kind of changes we have to make to ourselves in order to see that desire realized. And all of that energy that we collect, we map it as sigils, we map it as little images. Holding those thoughts in our mind, we map it as little images. The point is to take all of these things, because it's difficult to focus on so much information at once, so we gather it all down into a single point for focus. We pour all of our emotional energy and focus into that single point to charge it and empower that outcome, empower that means, empower those solutions, and empower that person that we want to become in order to see those desires realized. And that, in essence, is a servitor. So, to sit here and conjure all of that emotional energy for each individual spell that I plan to cast in these streams would be quite time consuming. It would really turn a 2-hour spellcasting stream into like 8 hours. So in advance I capture energy in this potion. It's comprised of symbolic ingredients. There are fruit seeds, ashes from a page that's been burned, page with intentions written on it, rainwater, 1, 2, 3, that's it. Those are the symbolic ingredients, and the seeds symbolize potential. It's like imagine a battery. It houses the potential for energy. It's potential energy there, and the seed is the same. It has the potential for all of this abundance, potential to be an abundant fruit tree. So it is, the seeds are there as like a symbol of containment, to contain energy and hold it as potential energy. The water is symbolic of the emotional energy itself. Emotions correspond with water. Water corresponds with emotion, is actually what I meant to say. And it's rainwater, so I take it a step further and say that that is pure emotional energy. It's a pure emotional current. I have to dive really deep to distinguish a tainted emotional current from a pure emotional current, but basically when you feel something like fear, it's a tainted emotional current. You just feel it in your being. There's nothing pure or unique about it. However, when emotions get extremely intense, whether it's fear or whatever it might be, love, resentment, excitement, whatever it might be, if it gets intense enough, it turns into ecstasy. It turns into a physical, visceral experience in the body. It feels like soda water on your skin. Usually starts here at the top, as if it's being poured onto your crown. Sometimes it comes from the bottom up, like it comes from the base of your feet up. But that is what I'm symbolizing with the rainwater, as a pure emotional current. So I summon that kind of pure emotional current in advance. I visualize all of my most intense emotional experiences and memories, and relive the emotion and build it up until I get that pure ecstatic current moving through me, and then channel it into, well, once I feel it, then I put all of those ingredients together. The intentions written on the page, or the ashes, this is a container for energy. So we have 2 requests, which is perfect. Welcome, Nikki. Thank you for joining the queue. Thank you for joining us today and receiving the value that we're giving. And the same to God's abundant blessings. Thank you. Welcome back. I'm interested to see what we're going to cast for you this time. So now that you guys have indicated that you're joining the queue, what I'm going to need from you guys is the day that you were born and the month that you were born in, so that I can identify your zodiac. I only need to know your zodiac so that I know your element. So if you know your element, you can just share your element. But then I find a lot of people give me a birth date with the incorrect zodiac sign. So it might be a better idea just to give your name, or not your name, the date and the month. And then I need to know your desire, what it is you want to manifest. And then I can write down an affirmation for you guys. One on each side of the page. I like to do the spells in pairs, so it's perfect. We have 2 requests. I'm just waiting for you guys to give me your desire, and there we go. God's abundant blessings has given me 29th of August. What does that make you? I don't even know. I'm not that familiar with the zodiacs. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, July. So what is after Gemini? I wouldn't know, Nikki. I wouldn't know if it's your network or if it's my network. What, is there a desync between the audio and the video? Letitia Dana, we're not doing tarot readings. We're casting spells, so please feel free to type that hashtag chaos to get into the queue for a spell, a free spell. And it's a chaos magic servitor, as indicated by the title, you know, spell casting and enchanting. Yeah, then what I'll need from you is the day you were born, like the date and the month, so that I can identify your element. So the 29th of August is Virgo. September comes after. Right. I don't know why that didn't occur to me. Wealth and health. Dude, we already cast a spell for you to manifest wealth. It's a bad idea to cast the same spell more than once. The amount of energy you put into a spell the first time, the only time you will repeat a spell is if you know with certainty that you're going to be able to summon up more energy than the last time. Otherwise it's not a good idea. And I can say with certainty that it's not going to be more than last time. It's going to be the same. So choose another spell, or just trust that your spell is working, and join me on a tarot day, like a Friday or a Sunday, to find out how much progress your spell is making and what kind of effect it's had on the world so far. Nice. Wealth and health. Nice. I'm going to put down an affirmation for you. Wealth and health. What is going on with my brain? Score of 80 to 100. So this servitor is going to affect your ability to study and your ability to retain the information that you study. You can't just like not study and expect to get 80 to 100 in your exam. You're going to have to study. This is going to improve your focus during study, and it's going to improve your ability to memorize and retain the information that you absorb. Your exam was already written, so this spell will affect your exams in the future. God bless you too, abundant blessings. Thinking up an affirmation for you. Everything I read and learn I retain in my memory. And my focus is immune to anxiety. So the affirmation I've written for you is: everything I read and learn, I retain in my memory, and my focus is immune to interference. And I want you to speak that out loud. Speak it out loud. Say it and affirm, so mote it be. Spell on success and career. Let's make up our minds now. This is a superpower, I'd say. Photographic memory is a superpower. Success in career on everything I take up, or photographic memory? What are we gonna do? Successful career, photographic memory. We're gonna change what's written here, or we're gonna stick with it. Second of October, and does that make you a Virgo as well? Libra. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead with the affirmation that's already been written. So you're an air sign. What I'm about to give you now is a key on how you can unlock this reality. Everything I read and learn I retain in my memory, and my focus is immune to interference. Affirm it, so mote it be. Basically, I was asking you if you wanted to change your affirmation, change your spell to be something to do with career, or if you want to keep this one that I already wrote, which is to do with memory and focus, photographic memory and unbreakable focus. You are an air sign after all. Nine. That is self-reflection. So basically the key that you've received to unlock this future is to reflect on your intuition, on how you have communicated with your intuition in the past. Not only intuition, but also focus and study and intellect. The way that you've applied these things, the way you've used them, the way you've failed at them and succeeded at them. The self-reflection is there. We're moved on from that. We're not doing that anymore. We're going on with what's already written here. That is, everything I read and learn I retain in my memory, and my focus is immune to interference. The ball is already rolling on this. 9 is your key to unlock that, and that is self-reflection, reflecting on your intuition, your intellect, and your focus, reflecting on where you've had to apply these things, how you've applied them, where you have failed and allowed things to interfere with your focus, where you have come to some kind of logical conclusion and it's turned out to be wrong. Basically, you want to acknowledge all of your failures within that whole realm of air, that whole realm of intellect and intuition, and acknowledge also your successes so that you can avoid repeating those mistakes. You can find solutions to avoid repeating those mistakes, and you can reapply your methods for success in the areas that you did succeed with those things. A good example when it comes to intuition is, like, it's easy to confuse logic and reasoning with intuition. It's easy to confuse emotional compulsion with intuition. So on the one end of the spectrum we've got logic, on the other end of the spectrum we've got emotion. Both of those are fallible. If you follow your emotions, you can easily end up ruining your life. If you base everything on intellect, your chances become like 50-50 because you can't know everything. Intuition is like an inner knowing, an inner understanding of whether or not advice, will affect your reality positively or negatively. Intuition is like an inner knowing on whether this course of action or this decision that you've made is going to affect your future positively or negatively. It's something that we have inside of us, and it always is there. It always tugs at us, so we just know. Sometimes we come up with stories, or we say our reasoning contradicts what we know, or our emotions contradict what we know, so we choose to follow one or the other instead of going with that inner knowing. So reflecting on the past where you have followed reasoning over intuition, and where you have followed emotion over intuition, so that you can bring yourself back to center. You can learn from those mistakes, and you can also look at the times when you did trust that inner knowing and how that turned out for you. This period of self-reflection is how you evolve your ability to retain information and how you evolve your focus. I'm going to bring in an astrological principle, a planetary frequency, and that is Saturn, because Saturn is all about creating structure and order. And that is Saturn's domain. Now I'm going to bring all of these things into a single point. I want you to visualize this outcome now. Visualize how this outcome looks when you have a photographic memory and you can retain any information that you read or learn. How does that impact your life? How does that impact your ability to study or your method of study? How does that impact your educational environment? And how does that impact your career life after education? Imagine all of the advantages that this ability to have unbreakable focus and a photographic memory, imagine the outcome of how all the advantages that gives you in life and in society. Play it out as much as you like. Play out that reality as far as you like in your mind. And affirm the statement: everything I read and learn I retain in my memory, and my focus is immune to interference. I mean, so mote it be. E-R-M-F-I. So there is your servitor. I want you to screenshot that so you can draw him out later. Doesn't have to be identical, doesn't have to be perfect, you just want to draw it out as best you can. And then you want to visualize it every now and then. Visualize it before you read something. Visualize it before you go in for a test of any kind. Visualize it before you go for an interview. Basically imagine it's a living creature that follows you around like a pet or a familiar. And what it does is it makes sure that you remember everything that you hear, everything that you read, everything that you learn. And it keeps emotions away from your focus, keeps emotions and external and influences from affecting your focus. Any do's and don'ts? Nope. Yes, there is a do. I just gave the do. Draw it out. You can keep it. You can even like put it in your pocket or in the back of your phone or whatever. Just draw it, and then visualize it every now and then. Imagine it's alive, and basically it's only alive until this is done, until the spell is manifest, and then you should forget about it. So that's the don't. Once you have noticed that your memory is working well and you're getting the results you asked for here, then you want to get rid of that page and forget about it. Now I'm going to charge it. So basically once we have created a servitor like this, then we channel all of our emotional energy into it. The more pure and the more intense that emotion, the better. But yeah, as I was saying, when I open the stream, it gets really time consuming for me to summon all of that energy for each individual spell. So I've created this as a container to capture that energy, and in advance I summon that emotional energy and channel it into this container, and then I use this, I dispense this into each individual spell. And this is comprised of 3 symbolic ingredients: rainwater, fruit seeds, and ashes from a page that had intentions written on it. Kriyasad via nokolo binimanakasde wasoro kiliontoro e anama isa amin. And now, so this page is reality, it's Earth, it's you, it's your current reality. The affirmation and the servitor is the desired change that we want to inflict onto this reality. The flame is our intentions, and now the intentions are going to transform this page, transform it in accordance with our desire. And there it is. Whenever I do this, whenever I bring the candle flame over the potion, then I feel that same energetic current that I felt when I was summoning the energy in advance. Lets me know that it's working. I do have a little fire safe dish here, so no stress about the fire. Okay, and that is your spell. I hope you got that screenshot, otherwise you can always go back in the video and check that moment where I hold it out in front of the camera, and then you can draw it out. Once you get what you desire, please remember your sorcerer and go ahead and give him a tip. Amazing. So glad you got that screenshot. You are welcome. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way, or Lupercalia, as they used to call it in ancient Rome. Wasn't so much about romance back then, it was more about orgies and blood sacrifices. Sounded a lot more fun. And welcome to the chat, to whoever it was that just joined us. To join that queue for a spell of your own, you can type #chaos along with your request, your desire. And I will also need the date and month of your birth. I don't need the year, just the date and the month. I want to know your element in essence, so that I can give you a key that's unique to you on how you can get to the desire that you express. There was a lot of drama here earlier. It's like so much chaos just set in. My dad was calling me, asking me if I've heard from my sister, because she's at a tantric retreat in just outside of Hartbeespoort Dam in the northwest province of South Africa, and no one's heard from her in a week. So he was stressing balls and yelling and making it everyone else's problem that he's stressing. Now I know that they expect you to put your phone off at retreats like that, so you know, it's like goes without saying. That's why I'm not stressing about it. I expect that she'll be back online when the retreat is over. And yeah, then after that, then the cat spilled all of the compost, because I don't throw away organic waste here. Like, we don't throw it in the trash. We put it into a composting bucket, and that either goes into the veggie garden or it goes to feed the pigs. And so the cat could smell some rabbit that was in there, rabbit carcass, bones and shit that was in there. So he tried to climb in there, but he ended up knocking it over, and all of that foul rotting shit just spilled all over the floor, so I had to clean it up. This is all while I'm setting up here to go live. I'm suddenly realizing that I have a lot of avatar work this week. Like tomorrow I'm not streaming, so tomorrow I'm basically the whole day slaughtering chickens and rabbits. So the blood sacrifice aspect of Valentine's Day it's like happened coincidentally. We celebrate Valentine's Day on the 14th. Traditionally, Lupercalia was on the 15th of February. So, yeah, tomorrow being the 15th, tomorrow being the date that I have to, the only day that I have to do all of that bloody work, lines up really nicely. Only thing we're lacking is the orgies. There aren't enough of us here to have an orgy, unfortunately. Yesterday there was a lack of viper, night adder, that came cruising out from underneath the house, went over the dirt mound outside and into a little crevice underneath a tree. They have neurotoxic venom which attacks your immune system. People I know who have been bitten by night adders have had impaired eyesight thereafter, or other immune related, like what's the word? It's suddenly gone from my tongue. Not immune. Nervous system issues. Nervous system impairments. I was bitten by one of them as a child. I was wearing thick boots. Only one of its fangs got through the boot, and well, I was very young, so I don't know. I don't know what kind of side effects I've suffered as a result of that snake bite. But I must say it was the most painful experience of my life. Nothing else has been quite as painful as that neurotoxic venom. Welcome to the chat, Mercy. We're doing spellcasting today, so if you want a free spell, just type #chaos, and I'll need the date that you were born and the month. I don't need the year, just the date and the month. The point of that is to get a hold of your element, so I can give you a key to unlock your desire. So type #chaos, tell me what you desire, and the date and month of your birth. The kind of spell that we're casting is an executable servitor. I don't know if you're familiar with servitors, chaos magic and sigil magic, but basically a servitor is like a program. You write a code, you give a computer certain instructions, and when you execute that code, then it performs those functions. So servitor is kind of the same. What we do is we create the future, the desire, we envision the future that we're going to move into. We identify a means to move from where we are to that outcome, and we consider any hindrances. We think about what kind of possible solutions we would come up with to all of that, and we gather all of that energy, all of those thoughts and that psychic residue. We bring it down to a single point, because trying to focus on all of these various aspects of our outcome and our desire it's very dispersed. The energy is very dispersed, so we bring it down to a single point and we charge that with our focus and our emotional energy, as emotions power spells the way that electricity powers a computer. February the 7th, that makes you Aquarius, if I'm not mistaken. I will double check it. Happy belated birthday, by the way. Yep, Aquarius, air sign. So, to summon up all of that emotional energy for each individual spell would be time consuming. So I do it in advance. I did it in advance, and I captured it here in this container. So that is a potion comprised of 3 ingredients, 1 being rainwater to represent the pure emotional current, 2 being seeds from a fruit tree, fruit seeds, squash seeds, and pumpkin seeds. And these seeds are symbolic in that they house potential. A seed is a tiny little capsule housing all of the potential for a fruit tree. So it's symbolic of a container. And then the 3rd ingredient in there is ashes from a page, and that page had intentions written on it. It had the intentions to capture and bind energy for later use. So now what I'll need from you, Mercy, is your desire, what it is that you want me to manifest for you. Just waiting for you to let me know what it is you desire so that I can put down an affirmation for you and find you a key on how you can accomplish that, what you can do practically day to day in order to bring yourself closer to that. And then I will create your servitor and I'll hold it up to the screen and you can take a screenshot of it. A dream job. Do you know what your dream job is? I mean, it's not important from my perspective, but it might be important for you to know what your dream job is. How can we affirm this for you? I am the ideal candidate for the occupation which fits my being authentically, or being, not that word. Bank manager. What about bank CEO? I am the ideal candidate for occupation. I am the ideal candidate for the occupation which fits my authentic character. I like that one. So now I want you to speak that out loud and affirm it. I am the ideal candidate for the occupation which fits my authentic character. I'll repeat that again. I am the ideal candidate for the occupation which fits my authentic character. So mote it be. Now I want you to visualize the promotion. I want you to visualize this position that you dream of. See it in your mind. What does the outcome look like? How does your lifestyle change? How does your income change? How do your responsibilities change? What kind of freedom does this promotion provide to you outside of the work environment? visualize being selected for the promotion, what that looks like. Do you get called into the office where you are informed that you have been promoted? Do they host a staff party for you? Do your colleagues get jealous? Do they support you in this position? Do they recognize you as the ideal candidate for this position? It doesn't matter what you visualize, the point is just to see it all. The universe will give this to you in ways that we can't even fathom, but we have to visualize the outcome before we can get there. Okay, now I'm going to get you a key. You're an air sign. Three, 5, 6. That's a nice key. That's very interesting. When applying the symbolic meaning of 6 to air, it talks about overcoming your limitations through interaction and through connection, through relationship. So basically it's saying learn from the people that you admire in the workspace. People who are focused, people who come up with who have the ability to use their ingenuity to come up with solutions to problems. Logical thinking people, critical thinking people that you have relationship with already. Consider the people in the space who embody that archetype of the logical critical thinker, and consider making a connection with them. Basically, what this is implying is that you have been doing the best that you can with your focus, with your knowledge, with your intuition, with your reasoning and logic, but there are still limits on how much you know and what you can do. So 6 is about overcoming those limitations by interacting with other people who are also doing their best and applying their intuition and their logic and their reasoning and their critical thinking to the best of their abilities. And when you interact, the way that you do things and the way you come up with solutions will be different to the way they do. So you will give them pieces to the puzzle and they will give you pieces to the puzzle, and thereby you both evolve. And that kind of evolution through connection and relationship is what will help you get this promotion. And I want to bring a planetary frequency into the spell as well, and I want to select Jupiter for that purpose, because Jupiter is all about security and abundance. And well, a promotion, the reason we look for promotions is to increase our abundance and our security, our financial security. So it makes sense to me. Did I tell you to affirm the affirmation, I am the ideal candidate for the occupation which fits my authentic character? So might it be? Yes, I did. I did. So here is your servitor. What I want you to do there is take a little screenshot of him and then visualize him occasionally. When you're in the workspace, when you apply for the promotion, if you haven't already, when you interact with the other people in your space, when you're identifying who are these logical, critical thinkers that can help you evolve, visualize him. Basically, you want to imagine that he's a living creature, like a pet or a familiar, and he follows you around to make sure that you evolve past your limits and develop your focus and your ingenuity, and just generally making certain that you get the promotion you're looking for, that you get into the occupation which fits your authentic character. And now I'm going to charge it. So I don't know if I spoke about this potion, but we power these servitors once they're created. We power them with emotional energy and focus. And to do that is time consuming, so I did it in advance and captured the energy in these 3 symbolic ingredients to make this potion, which were ashes from a page of affirmation, kind of like this, rainwater, and fruit seeds. Fruit seeds are symbolic of containing, like a small space that can house a lot of potential, and the rainwater is symbolic of the pure emotional energy. And the affirmation, yeah, that's the intention, symbolic of the intention, the ashes, the intention to capture energy. Kaidraseo viamakale eanama voso narua eyaisa. Amin. And now, this page is your current reality. It's the current job that you have, the current state of your reality. The servitor and the affirmation are the desired changes that we want to afflict onto that reality. And this flame is our intentions. And now we're going to use this intention, we're going to apply it to reality in order to transform it in accordance with our desire. And right there I start to feel that emotional ecstasy the same way that I did when I summoned all of that energy. It's quite interesting to me that every time that I put the flame against the liquid of the potion, I feel the same energetic currents that I felt when I was busy summoning that energy and containing it in the potion in the first place. Lets me know that it's working. Don't know if you can feel anything. I would be interested to know. And there we go. That's crazy. That's really crazy. To me, it kind of feels like soda water. It kind of feels like either electricity or soda water. As if there was like soda water running up, instead of running down, running up from the base of my spine up. Sometimes I feel like this heat stirring in my stomach. Like heat building up in my core. But that's not the energy that I summoned when I was doing that. When I was creating that, I was bringing up that emotional ecstasy from the base of the spine upwards. And to do that, basically, I remember all of my most intense emotional experiences and I relive those memories. And I build up that emotion slowly, 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 until I'm feeling it viscerally in my body. And it feels like that soda water running up and down my spine. And then I put the ingredients together and I speak the enchantments. And yeah, that's how we ended up with that. But thank you very much. Thank you for joining me today and receiving the value that I'm offering. Amazing, from your leg up. Very interesting. Probably left leg, wasn't it? left is symbolic of the receptive aspect. But anyway, once you get what you desire, once you get your promotion, please don't forget about your sorcerer. Give him a tip. Thank you. You are the ideal candidate for this promotion. So let it be. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and you're most welcome. Every like lets YouTube know that this content is valuable, and it encourages the algorithm to share, like to promote the video higher up. Each like does that for me. Very valuable form of support. I've been recording some background tracks for streamers lately. I felt like that was a good way to get exposure for my music. So just like basic guitar tracks, gentle guitar tracks, 10 minutes each. I want to have 6, so it's like 60 minutes. I've got those 6. I've composed them. The first, I think I've done 2 so far. 1, 2. Yeah, I've only done 2 so far. Those 2 I've practiced to perfection. The others I'm still a little bit rusty. I've also been neglecting to practice them daily. Almost there though, with the one that I want to record next. Almost got it. I can almost play through it for 10 minutes without messing up. So soon I can get that one up. And once I've got all 6, then I'll promote it. I'll promote it for, as background music for streams. Put it on all those websites where people go for copyright-free music. I'll promote it on my own Facebook wall and page, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Naturally, I'll also upload it onto places like Spotify and YouTube Music and Bandcamp, maybe iTunes. And I can put the link there and say if you want to support, then buy. But it is under Creative Commons. I'll figure it out as I get there. Once I've actually got all the content created, then I'll think about how I'm going to turn it into, how I'm going to monetize it. Because even though I want to give it as creative, with a creative license, I still want to benefit from it in more than just exposure. That reminds me of a meme that I saw where there's a guitarist with a guitar over his shoulders, and someone is holding out like a wad of cash, and he's like, no thanks, no money for me, just exposure. And then my plan with that is, like, for now it's just like a single guitar track, and then I want to evolve it periodically. Like I'll add some electric guitar, some electric lead on top of the acoustic classical sound, and then some like eerie vocals. I don't know if you know Clan, the band, House of Youth. Look them up, they're fucking brilliant. But they've got these like eerie vocals that are not really lyrical, they're just like these eerie vocal sounds, and I was inspired by that, so I'll add some eerie vocal tracks on top of it and just evolve it piece by piece, and each time promote it again fresh. Should I stick around and wait for one more request? I've been online for an hour, but the chat is really slow and, you know, quiet. I guess I am a bit later than usual, and everyone who comes in is pretty much looking for tarot readings, not really spells, so they leave. Doesn't really make much sense. Doesn't make much sense to me, you know, because for me, tarot reading is an absolute underutilization of my ability, of my gifts. Tarot creates this like small box for my intuition to operate in. When I use a bowl of water or a crystal ball, the readings are much more profound and much more relevant to the person who is requesting them. And the kind of energy that we have contained here in this jar that is being applied to these spells, these servitors, it's more than any other sorcerer I've ever met. I don't know anyone else who can create those same sort of visceral experiences. I mean, you read about it as an occultist, you read about it in books, but have I ever met someone who can actually do it? I was impressed when I experienced it for the first time. I didn't know, well, it was the goal, but it took years before I actually experienced it. So it's like, yeah, difficult. It's difficult to be recognized when what you're offering isn't something you can see. People have an attachment to tarot. They think that the magic is in the tool, but the magic is with the sorcerer, the diviner, not in the tool. It doesn't matter what tool the sorcerer uses. It's his intuition and it's his magic that you're experiencing and receiving from the reading. Since we only have one viewer, I want to tell you a little secret. I read the dice as if it was a tarot card. That's why I ask for the element, because the elements correspond with the suites. So we've got swords, wands, cups, and discs. Discs is earth, wands is fire, cups is water, and swords is air. So then I ask for the zodiac, and I know what your element is. Then I roll the dice and I get a number, and I put the element on that, and bingo, we have a suite card basically. And there's 3 dice, so that's anything from 1 until 18. 6, 12, 18. Now theoretically we only need 12. There are typically only 12 suites, but I take into consideration the trump card as well, and there are 22 trumps. So ideally I'd like to have 4 dice, but I just don't have 4 dice, so we have to work with 3. But basically we're doing tarot readings with a dice, and it's coming out of the Thoth deck because those are the images that I'm seeing in my mind. But then again, my tarot readings are very much tied in with numerology. Like, most people will take the symbols in the card into consideration, and I do, if I want to delve deep into the reading. But for the most part, I just look at the number of the card and give my interpretation based on its numerology. And that is, like, people... I have been asked, it's not something I get asked very often, but I have been asked how I connect so quickly with the cards and the energy, and it's because of my familiarity with numerology first and foremost. Never mind the tarot, never mind any of the other stuff, elements, astrology, never mind any of that. My understanding of the root of the numerology allows me to connect with it all much quicker, and everything else becomes secondary. And if I want to delve deeper, then I'll look at the picture of the card, and I'll see, okay, there I see Venus, I see such and such, I see Aleph from the Hebrew alphabet in that drawing. I also see what the characters in the card are doing, and the order in which I see those symbols, I make a connection between them in that order, telling the story based on the symbols in the order that I see them in the card. So that changes the reading from one reading to the next. Even if it's the exact same spread, it can give away multiple different readings from many different perspectives based on which symbols stand out to me first. So divination with numerology, divination in general, is a science of symbols. Like, even when I'm using the bowl of black water, it's still to do with the science of symbols, because I'm seeing visions in that water. I'm seeing visions, images. Sometimes they're still, sometimes they're moving, and it's like dreams, and then I interpret those images as if I was interpreting a dream. So again, it all boils down to symbols. When you're interpreting dreams, you interpret it based on the symbol, the oracle of the symbols. And so, yeah, scrying is like interpreting a waking dream. And yeah, the tarot cards, each one of them is an astrological oracle, and the order in which the symbols stand out to the diviner is what defines the story. When it comes to people that I know very well, that I know personally, when I look into the black water, sometimes I see them in their current environment, like everything, all the details, down to the patterns on their sheet and their carpet, where the windows are in their room, all of that stuff. But that tends only to happen with people that I have been interacting with for quite some time. Like recently I did a reading for a client, a long-time client, someone who's been a reoccurring client, someone I've done many readings for, interacted with a lot, had video calls with, etc. And during their reading I saw someone in their life, I saw someone they know, down to the scars and minor imperfections on their faces. And as I was describing this vision of this person that I was seeing, they knew exactly who I was talking about. They said, that's my brother, my older brother. So yeah, that's very interesting. Like, when it comes to people that I'm like first-time clients, everything is very symbolic. All the things I see in the scrying water, it's very symbolic. Like a dream has to be interpreted by its symbols. But then when it's someone that I've already established a connection with, the symbols, it becomes less symbolic and more literal, and I start to see literal, like seeing the image of the physical environment they're sitting in, or the physical appearance of the people in their lives. Even though I've never interacted with those spaces, never interacted with those people, I see them in the bowl down to the most minute details. See them in the water, see them in the bowl, depending what I'm using for scrying. So an interesting story of how I discovered scrying. Basically, I'd read about it, I'd heard about it, I'd given it a try, not deliberately. As a child, I remember I did stare into the oven door until I saw pictures. My mother told me I'm being silly, I'm acting crazy, and yeah, she said naturally if I stare at anything for long enough, it's going to start to morph. So yeah, she just discarded it as something mundane. But then one day I was laying on the couch in the living room here, and I have some trophies from the dance sport that I did in my youth, ballroom and Latin dance sport. So I have this trophy cup, golden surface, and it was on the shelf, and I was just looking past it. I wasn't even looking at it. I was looking past it, just zoning out, and in the corner of my eye I saw a picture in the reflection of the cup, and the picture seemed really relevant to what I had been thinking, and I thought that's pretty interesting. Didn't pay any attention to it. At some point I was looking into that same spot, and I saw that the picture I was seeing in the corner of my eye in the reflection of the trophy cup was not the same picture that I had seen before. I thought that's very interesting. So I kept my focus in the same spot, and I saw that image begin to morph and change into something else until it solidified into a new image. At this point I'd already been doing quite a bit of research into dream symbols and the interpretation of dreams, so I started to interpret these images that I was seeing according to what I knew about dream interpretation, and I was completely blown away. My mind was like blown by how relevant the interpretations of those symbols and those images was to my present state of being and what I had been contemplating and reflecting on in that moment. So naturally then I did more research into scrying, and I discovered that one of the most practical applications of the scrying practice was to view people and things remotely. So I began to experiment with that. Began to hold the image of someone in my mind while staring at the water, or immediately I put water in a bowl and filled it with charcoal to get it black, because I didn't have a black mirror, and so black water scrying became my specialty when it comes to scrying. And then holding the picture of the target, of the person I want to remote view, and staring into the water, recording the symbols that I see, interpreting them. Now I had no way to cross-reference these things and see if they were accurate or not until I did this on request, when I did this on behalf of someone that I knew, and then I saw, the first image that I saw was them sitting on a bed. They had recently moved to a place that I had never been before, and I saw just above the bed was a window, and to the right of the bed was an altar, and there was a red cloth hanging behind the altar. I don't remember all of the details now, but I remember in that moment, as I was recording, as I was seeing the visual, I was voice noting all the details, as much detail as I could, for each symbol. And now most of the pictures I saw thereafter were symbolic, but that one with the room and the bed was, she sent me a picture afterwards, and that blew my mind, and I was like, so the remote viewing fucking works. Blew my mind. And this is several years ago where all of this took place. I had already had much success in various types of spellcasting experiments. I had already been doing tarot for about 2 years at that point. Before I even got into tarot, I had quite a solid understanding of numerology. Basically, I've been dabbling in the occult for like 8 or 9 years now. I was 14. Shit, it's 10 years. This is the 11th year. 11 years. But yeah, back then when I got into it, I was very skeptical. I didn't believe in any of the shit. I just thought calling myself a witch was cool, and I understood the chaos theory, that every variable affects the outcome, no matter how small it might seem. Every single change, every single action has a reaction and drastically affects the outcome. Butterfly effects. The proposition that the wind created by a butterfly's flap can contribute to or negate a tsunami or a tornado. So I was already familiar with that idea and the roots of chaos theory, and I liked that idea, and the interest in chaos theory brought me to chaos magic, and the chaos magic was based in the principle of belief as a tool, so then not being attached to any specific belief, being able to change what you believe in order to accomplish whatever it is that you desire. So now that to me didn't look like casting spells, that looked like just practically applying yourself in the world to accomplish whatever it is that you wanted. So to me, wizardry then looked, at that point, it looked like putting a taser into a staff that had like metal prongs coming off the top and had a button in the center, so then you could like zap somebody with it. That's what magic looked like to me at that point. But yeah, identifying as a witch and reading up more on chaos magic slowly opened up the realms of what was possible and led me to start experimenting with things, and then finding success with those experiments and having my mind blown again and again and again until I wasn't even living in the same universe that I was living in when I first identified myself as a witch. Eleven years later, and I can cause someone to experience heat. So I was thinking of putting a taser into a rod. Now I can touch someone astrally and they feel burning heat wherever they get touched. I mean, that takes a lot of energy. I have to focus a lot of energy into that single point to make it happen. But it happens. Creating illusions, making people see things that are not actually happening. Hypnosis, remote viewing, being able to look at someone from anywhere. Location has become completely obsolete. Manifestation, like manifestations that have even blown my own mind. Creating changes in the universe, like physical changes. Sure, it takes some time for the changes to reflect. So the changes take place up here in the astral. I practice the astral projection technique of moving my consciousness to the location that I want to affect, and then I make those changes there. And then I do something symbolic. I do a ritual that symbolizes those changes. So the changes have happened in the mind, in the astral, in the spirit, and then I represent those changes with a physical fetish or talisman, and then the physical reality catches up to that without fail every time. Sometimes it's immediate, sometimes it's long, but the effects take place immediately. The effects happen immediately, and then it's a matter of time before it reaches the fullness of the manifestation. And healing, my God. Yeah, I don't want to talk about the manifestations that I've witnessed. I don't want to talk about the healings that I've performed. I want to demonstrate. I don't want to talk. I want to demonstrate. That's what I'm here to do. Not to talk about magic. I'm here to demonstrate magic. I'm here to demonstrate healing. I'm here to demonstrate manifestation. I'm here to demonstrate divination and what kind of value that can bring to a person's life. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and close the stream now. thank you to my consistent viewer who has stuck around since I started. Much appreciation to you. Yeah, thank you for your support. I'd encourage you to interact in the future. Like, feel free to request readings if you feel like you need guidance. Feel free to request a spell if there's anything you desire. Maybe you have everything that you desire. Maybe you're a master magician. In that case, please feel free to share some of your wisdom. It would be much appreciated. If you have any ailments, psychological, physical, or spiritual, please reach out for some healing. I'll be doing that on Wednesday. Anyway, I do offer all of these services that I offer live and more in private sessions, but I do charge for my private sessions. Yeah, you can DM me. All of my links are in the description. And at this point, I'm talking to people who would be viewing the post-live content. Anyway, wishing peace and prosperity and abundance and wealth beyond measure to all of those who viewed my stream and to all those who will still view the stream. So mote it be.